In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to join the I cord here to the edge of the shoulder piece here. So this is the I cord for the neck. Now, the technique that I'm going to demonstrate is the same technique that you use for the underarms. This just happens to be the neck I cord. Okay, so I have gone ahead and worked the very first part of the instructions, which is the begin joining row. So I've worked these stitches in the mesh pattern, and then I've slipped the final 2 stitches on the edge here, and it's these 2 stitches that I'm going to be grafting to these 3 I cord stitches. So the first thing that I need to do is take the tail end from my I cord and thread it onto a tapestry needle. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my needles to work this join. So I'm going to take both needles and I'm going to put them parallel to one another with the tips pointing in the same direction. And I'm going to go ahead and slide my work down the needles so that it is at the tips of my needles. And now this thread right here, this is my main working yarn. I'm just going to put that out of the way because I'm not using it yet. Right now, I'm going to be using the end of the I cord that I threaded onto the tapestry needle here. Okay, so I have my needles parallel. The wrong sides of the work are facing each other right here. This is the right side of the work. If I turn it over, this is also the right side of the work. So the wrong sides are together. My I cord right here is on the front needle, and the 2 stitches that make up the edge of the shoulder piece are on the back needle. Okay, so to set this up, I'm basically working Kitchener stitch across these 5 stitches. So the first step to set up is that I'm going to go into the first stitch purlwise, first stitch on the front needle purlwise like this, and I'm going to pull my needle through, but I'm going to leave that stitch on the front needle. Now I'm going to go into the first stitch on my back needle knitwise like this, knitwise like this, and I'm going to go ahead and pull my needle all the way through. But I'm leaving both stitches on the needles. Okay, now I'm going to go back into the front stitch, the first stitch on the front needle, knitwise, and I'm going to slide it off the needle, but I'm not going to pull the tapestry needle out yet. Now I'm going to go in purlwise to the second stitch, and I'm going to leave it on the knitting needle, but pull the tapestry needle through both. Now, as I'm doing this, I want to make sure that the tension, so see this stitch right here? This is the new stitch that I've just created. I want to make sure that that tension nicely matches the tension of the rest of the stitches that I'm working with. So I'm going to pull it a little bit, but not too tight, about like that. Okay. Now, my next step, I'm going to go purlwise into the first stitch on the back needle, and I'm going to slip it off, but not pull the tapestry needle through yet. Then I'm going to go knitwise into the second stitch on the back needle and pull it all the way through. Now here you can better see the tension, what I'm achieving with the tension here. So I want to pull that a little bit more so that that stitch matches the tension of the other stitches around it. See that? Okay. Now I'm going to come back to the front needle, and as I'm working, I find it helpful to hold my work like this. So I have one finger in between and one on either side, and that gives me the space that I need to work in the middle while keeping the needles steady in the position they need to be. Okay, so coming back to this front needle, I'm going to go in knitwise, and I'm going to slip it off the tip of the knitting needle, purlwise, and I'm going to leave it on and pull the tapestry needle through. Keeping that nice tension. Now I'm going to go to the back stitch, and I'm going to go purlwise, and I'm going to slip it off the needle, and I'm going to go knitwise into the front stitch and also slip it off the needle. Then I'm gonna pull my tapestry needle all the way through. And again, let's double check our tension here. I'm gonna pull this just a little bit and make sure that the tension for the stitches that I've created matches the tension of the I-cord. And I can see that it does. So now I have joined the I-cord to the neck piece here, like this. So the next step is to pick up stitches in the I-cord. To do that, we're gonna be using the working yarn here that's attached to my left-hand needle, where I finished off the begin joining row. And before I start picking up stitches, I'm gonna show you what it is that you wanna be paying attention to here. So the I-cord that you created and joined by grafting here should continue an even unbroken line. If you look at your neck piece, or if you look at the pieces that you're joining together at the underarm, on the edge here, you had those two stitches that you worked. One is a stockinette stitch, and the one next to it on the end is your selvage stitch that you're slipping every other row to create like a nice clean edge here. And you see that this row, or rather this column of stockinette stitches right here, it's like a nice clean column, right? If I pull it, you can really see how clean it is. Those like beautiful unbroken stockinette column, right? Okay, so the goal when you're picking up stitches is to maintain that clean line from that stockinette column all the way through onto the I-cord, okay? So then first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm following the instructions, is I am going to create a double yarn over. So there's my double yarn over. And next, I have to pick up my first stitch in the I-cord. So following that line of stockinette, I want to pick up a stitch that's right on the edge here. So this first one is a little bit tricky and a little bit different than the other ones because it's actually still part of this original selvage edge here. And so you actually really only have, if we move the end of the I-cord thread here, you actually really only have one edge down here to pick up. Okay, do you see that? So this is that unbroken column of stockinette, and we would pick up into this one here. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull that tail from the I-cord down, and I'm gonna stick my needle in here like this and pick up a stitch there. And that's the first one. Oh. Like this. Now for the second one, I'm going to continue to look at that column of stockinette, which is right here. That would be the next stitch there. So I want to pick up behind it. And at this point, now I've moved into the full I-cord that has the 3 stitches. So I'm going to pick up actually 2 bars here. If you can see back here, there are these 2 bars. I'm going to pick up my stitch there. So I now have 2. I'm going to skip the next stitch, which would be, in this case, right here. It would be that one. That would be the next stitch because I've picked up in this one. So I'm going to skip that one, and I'm going to pick up the one right after, which is here. And then I'm going to pick up the one right after that. And at this point, it does become a lot easier because you've moved past that first part. But you can see I still have this nice unbroken column of stockinette stitches. Okay, double yarn over, following this column right here of stockinette stitches. This is the one that I'm going to skip right here. And if you're having trouble seeing it, you can kind of pull the I-cord apart, okay? So this is the one I'm going to skip right here. And I'm going to go instead into this one. 1, 2. Okay. Now, there's a complicating factor here, which is that we actually can't maintain this perfect edge with this column of stockinette stitches. We can't actually maintain that all the way across the I-cord and onto the other side. And the reason for that is that when you graft knitting stitches together, they don't graft perfectly like this. They sit into each other like this. So when we get to the other edge, we're going to be offset by half a stitch. And the way that I deal with this is that for the last set that I pick up, I switch to picking up in stitches that are going to make the I-cord match the column that I'm joining to. So if you see here, if we were to continue picking up on the side of this column here like this, we're going to get over here and we'd be picking up in the middle of the column on this stitch. So on this edge. So instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to work my double yarn over. And then instead of going, the next place that I would go would be right here into, well, that would be the one that I would skip, and then I would go in here. Instead of going in there, I'm going to scooch over half a stitch and pick up here instead. So I'm going to go pick up one, and then I'm going to pick up the next one. 2. And now I've finished picking up stitches in my I-cord. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. I'm going to work a double yarn over and then an SSK. And then a knit 2 together. And I'm going to continue until I've reached the end of my shoulder. And this is what it should look like.